Morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us for today's April 29th, 2026 Board of Deschutes County Commissioners meeting. We will now call the meeting to order. And the first item on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join us. To the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right. Now we will start a new procedure for us, approval of the agenda. And this is an opportunity for commissioners to ask for things on the consent agenda to be pulled out for discussion. It's also an opportunity to add anything to our agenda that we know is going to be a substantive topic, potentially a topic that there might be a decision made on that has come up in the very recent, in the very recent past, things that have come up since the time that we published our agenda last week. Is there anything that my fellow commissioners would like to pull from the consent agenda or discuss adding to our agenda today?
So I'll just acknowledge the approval of agenda is basically notifying anybody watching at the beginning of the meeting if we have something of substance that would be talked about at the end of the meeting. So I think that's kind of the big picture here, being able to make sure that if somebody's following any topics and we just acknowledge it up front. So
right. If somebody's really interested in a discussion of X topic, if we're going to add an item 12, they know that that's going to be there. And we will, that the way that other public bodies do this is they will actually do a motion to approve the agenda and then vote on that before they proceed into the agenda. So,
yeah, so I have nothing to add for the agenda. I'll move approval.
I'll second it.
Well, I actually did.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
I was hoping to add something to.
Very good. Sorry.
Yeah. Seems like recently there is a renewed interest in what the county is doing about groundwater stewardship. So I would like to add to our agenda some proposals, a discussion of some proposals that I have made in the past, but which I would love to bring up again now that we seem to be more interested in groundwater stewardship.
So it just sounds like going to be a political discussion, and I'll acknowledge that's what you're proposing, but that's fine.
So I would propose to add groundwater stewardship items as number 12 on our agenda. And I can make the motion to proceed with an agenda with that addition.
Does it have to be seconded?
I think it would have to be seconded.
Okay.
Is that a second or is that?
No, I want it to be on the agenda. I don't know, maybe next Wednesday or something. Because I believe there's been a lot of comments being made in the public, and I'd like to get grounded in those comments before we have our meeting.
Well, and that seems appropriate. So yeah, I mean, that's an interesting dynamic for the first time we're doing this.
Well, I will just float some ideas under other items that we can then consider next week. All right.
So we've been notified, even though there isn't an agenda approval for adding an item.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if I'm going to share some things under other items, that is a good way for us to put things on the agenda the next week, to raise them under other items. And, frankly, if I'm raising them under commissioner announcements or other items, then it's less of an opportunity for discussion and it's more of an opportunity for me to provide comment. And I hope that will be not interrupted. Okay.
So I did make a move to approve the agenda as presented.
And
it was
second that
second.
motion.
So calling for the vote, Commissioner Bone,
Yes.
Commissioner Dare,
Yes.
and chair votes yes. So on to citizen input. I do not see any blue forms, but if there is anyone in the room who'd like to make public comment, this would be the time. And also, if there's anyone online who would like to provide public comment, you can raise your hand online. Seeing none, we can proceed to commissioner announcements. Are there any commissioner announcements?
Just acknowledging Commissioner Chang and I were both at the first 45 minutes of Oregon Executive Council, just a kind of a leadership roundtable that was happened this morning. So we heard from Josh Lerner and a little bit of economic updates. Deschutes County proper, we're kind of in the Oregon bubble of the economy. We're kind of doing okay, but not really growing jobs right now is kind of the big picture, one of the big picture items that I just heard.
Yeah.
As I mentioned last week, when you hear that Basics loses contracts to a company from Tijuana, both through the airport and through St. Charles, and Basics provides family wage jobs in our community, I find that incredibly disappointing. So, we've got to support the industry that we have in our community.
Yeah. The other two things that I particularly noted in that presentation were that the slowing population growth for the state of Oregon is, creates economic headwinds for us. And there was also a note that that Business Oregon has done a little bit of analysis and research on the impacts of tariffs on our economy and our businesses in Oregon. And we will be hearing more about that soon.
Okay, and then don't forget that the governor just signed the decoupling from the HR1 for the accelerated depreciation. And as we were told by EDCO sitting in this room a couple of weeks ago, that investors were leaving the state because they're going to go where they get their return. And by decoupling from that, that was at this time where our state isn't growing, was not really a prosperity decision being made.
Yeah, that's and those are some of the items that the governor's new prosperity council will be evaluating. And then
she signed it after she formed the Prosperity Council. If she really wanted to make our state more prosperous, maybe she wouldn't have signed that legislation. Oregon, actually, the taxes in Oregon have gone up significantly in the last few years, significantly. In fact, we were told by USA Today that Oregon's taxes now are right up there at the top with Massachusetts. People in Oregon are really struggling, and the taxes have not been evaluated.
yeah, no, tax climate is going to be one of the things that the Prosperity Council is evaluating, and other kinds
Evaluating, we're at the top. There's really, do we need to evaluate? We are at the top and people cannot afford to live here.
for certain kinds of taxes, but it's valuable to do a systematic look, the fact that we're one of the only states that doesn't have a sales tax means that
we have the
rely
CAT
on-
tax, and the CAT tax is coming through in a big way. Businesses, I hear from businesses, even a restaurant in downtown Bend was paying $42,000 in CAT taxes. So they were doing a project. Yeah, no, we have a sales tax. It's not called sales tax. It's called the CAT tax.
Yeah, so it might be better to actually have a real sales tax, which would be distributed differently across the population. Okay.
So then that means that working people will be paying more, and they already can't afford to live here. As I mentioned earlier, quite a few months ago, my son who moved here tax-wise from California, his take-home is way less than what it was in California. And that really surprises people. And I'm like, you need to do more research on taxes in Oregon. It's at the high end of the spectrum.
Okay, thanks for that analysis. Do you have any other announcements?
I do. I actually had the privilege of riding with the state when we were reviewing Redmond's Dirt World the other day, and they were pleased. They said it was 50% better than it had been the last time they'd reviewed it. And I actually mentioned to them, when we get to do this land swap for our fairgrounds, with adding another 10, 20 acres, we will actually have the largest fairgrounds. And they said, oh, in Oregon? And I said, no, in the United States of America, we will have the largest fairgrounds. And they were like, wow. And I go, yeah, I think that's incredibly important. And what we can do on that land in combination with our fairgrounds that has been growing and in existence for over 20 plus years. So it was I thought a really good couple-hour drive around in Redmond on the east side.
Yeah, I will pick up on that and say that the sit down with DSL was, I thought, very productive. We were able to get kind of to the bottom of some of their ongoing concerns about the land exchange, primary among which is they are concerned about being able to keep unsanctioned encampments off of the property once it is transferred to them. So, as we explore further kind of MOUs, agreements, other things to move the land exchange forward, that may be kind of a new thing that we need to be thinking about in terms of coordination with them, coordination with the city of Redmond. I emphasized to them, if basically we're talking about a long, skinny piece of land and we have a green zone on one side of that piece of land that they'll be receiving, and the city of Redmond has 17th Street on the other side, that I'm pretty confident that the city is going to be keeping a close eye on the 17th Street side and ensuring that no new encampments are established there. It'd be helpful for the city to write them a formal letter, possibly to emphasize that. But otherwise, my feeling was we need to get things in writing and modify agreements, update MOUs, things like that. But I feel like we are on track to continue and proceed with that land exchange. At this point, did you have any different feelings after your drive around?
I was a bit worried, but the really good news was they wanted to know what we're paying for security an hour. And it ends up we're paying a lot less than the state is paying for security an hour. We are paying $60 an hour for security, and the team that we're using is incredibly engaged and letting us know what's happening. And I do want to announce and recognize that Ryan, one of the property employees, is really doing a great job out there. So anyway, they were pleasantly surprised about that. And then I told them all about BurnBot. They didn't know what BurnBot was. That is the robot that does amazing clearance without any smoke. And so they were all going to be reviewing BurnBot, and if we could be maybe using that out to clean up some of the property, because it's incredibly effective. And coming through Sisters this morning with all the smoke again, I'm hoping we can get more BurnBots running.
All right. Couple of other things to mention. The AOC presidential initiative for this year is focused on county revenue and how to enact a revenue system that is, fair and equitable and also sustainable in terms of supporting key county services. And they had a great webinar last week on Friday. I would encourage, I'd encourage my fellow commissioners, if they didn't see it, to check it out. And I would also ask our budget officer to make sure that the other members of the budget committee are aware of that recording and have the opportunity to watch it if they are interested. Another couple of things. Yesterday, I spent the whole day with Vic Russell Construction, the Oregon Natural Desert Association, a group of people that were formerly part of an organization called the Friends and Neighbors of the Mill Deschutes River Canyon, and others. Well, and most importantly, a couple of staffers from our congressional delegation, particularly Senator Merkley and Senator Wyden's office, to discuss the land exchange, the kind of informal land exchange that we have discussed here, and that the Board of Commissioners has, given direction to staff to continue to explore and develop. And I'm feeling pretty positive after that field trip that we have a deal that is, can be made viable, that can have bipartisan support, that can have support from a wide range of diverse interests in our community. And, in the coming weeks and months, it'll be our job, I think, to kind of put it into a package, talk to a lot more people, and eventually, I think it would be good to have some kind of an open house or something like that to let people come hear a presentation on what is being proposed and let them give us their input. And hopefully, if we've designed something that really does have broad community support, we will hear a lot of positive feedback in that open house. So that's just my thought on the next steps for that. But in the first contacts between a bunch of key community stakeholders and congressional staffers, I saw pretty positive reactions to the proposal. Staff from all 4 congressional offices were invited to go on this field trip, but Congressman Bynum and Congressman Bence's team couldn't make it. I think they're just letting the senator's staff's lead on this. One other thing I'll mention just very briefly, and we'll hear more about it later, is that the Crow Board met on Monday evening, and there'll be some discussion about what was, decisions that were made there during item, I believe it's 11 on our agenda, or 9 on our agenda. And there was also just a very good presentation about what the future of the Regional Housing Council and the Crow and other things could look like in a reformatted, consolidated organization and coordinated effort. So that's what I've got for commissioner announcements. Anything else? All right.
Tomorrow, are you going to be able to go to the managed count meeting? It's at 1:30. Is it 2 or 1:30 tomorrow, Nick?
2:30.
Okay, it's on, yes, it's on, 2:30 tomorrow.
I put it on my calendar.
Okay, perfect. I just want to be sure somebody's,
May or may not be able to be there in person, but it's on my calendar.
okay.
All right. We can move on from commissioner announcements to consent agenda.
So move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Commissioner Dare? Commissioner DeBonne?
Yes.
And chair votes yes. All right. Now for the fun part of our meeting.
Positive part.
Yes. We are going to have 4 proclamations in a row, starting with National Stroke Awareness Month, Mental Health Awareness Month, Historic Preservation Month, and Vietnamese American Remembrance Day. Hopefully, hopefully the people who are here to speak with us about these items are either in the room present or online with us. And kind of the way that this usually works is we will invite people up to share some information about the event or the month that we are recognizing. Then we'll read the proclamation. Then we will do a motion to adopt the proclamation or pass the proclamation. And then if you're here with us, we also like to do pictures with people if they are interested in that. So look for these 4 proclamations in rapid succession right now. First among those is a proclamation for National Stroke Awareness Month, item number 3. And for this item, we have Holly Harris, Taylor Laidlaw, and Bree Slusher joining us. Please come on up.
Hey. Hi, my name is Taylor Laidlaw. I work for Stroke Awareness Oregon, and I just want to say thank you for having us here today. The proclamation in discussion is for May, the month of May, which is Stroke Awareness Month. And so we are a local nonprofit here in Central Oregon, and we exist to spread education to the community about signs and symptoms and what to look for, because it's not talked about enough. And so our goal is to kind of help spread the message of what to look for. And we also love to support those who have experienced a stroke or have friends and family who have also experienced a stroke. So thank you.
Stroke is the 4th leading cause of disability in our country. And I just want to mention that the county has been an amazing partner in the past, and we really appreciate that.
And I'm Holly Harris, Health Services Director. Obviously, so appreciate partnership with organizations like this to spread awareness and hopefully help prevent, poor outcomes for individuals who may be dealing with this issue. So,
Yeah. And it's a wonderful thing to have a Stroke Awareness Month so that we can, catch strokes early and prevent the most harmful impacts for as many people as possible. Thank you for your work, and thanks for being here today. Are there any questions or
No,
comments?
I want you all to know that my mother had a stroke once, and just by accident, I happened to see my phone was ringing at 11 at night, and my sister was telling me that mom had a stroke. She was at St. Anthony's in Pendleton. They flew her to Cadillac, and by the time I drove there at 4:30 in the morning, mom was actually coming around because they'd given her the right medications. And amazing, when you see it firsthand, you know how important it is and how early diagnosis is critical to stroke victims. So anyway, yeah, that was my own experience. I was on the road with, all those semis, like driving at midnight up 97. But, to get there, and it was really a blessing. So thank goodness she had it in the hospital. They recognized what was going on, and Cadillac happens to be a regional health center for, actually, it's in the Tri-Cities. So, but it's a great hospital.
That's why they say time is brain.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So, and you just saw the difference in the answers to her questions. She's like, Hattie Jean, you're here? But just, how it works. Just happened to see my phone ring, not ringing, but moving. So, yes. And thank God, mom had, lived a long time after that. And she was able to truly recover. And just to know what you do. And I'm so glad we have a group here. Now, who actually works here in Central Oregon? You do. Okay, great. That's what I
Very
thought.
Small staff of approximately 2.5.
2.5 people. Okay, perfect. I love it. Well, thank you for having a small staff and doing what you do, because it's, as you said, 4th leading. It's a huge factor.
I'd say, yeah, let's get through the proclamation because I got some comments here, but yeah, let's go through the proclamation.
So looking at this proclamation, I'm thinking maybe one of us could take the first four, the second could take this second four whereases, and then we'll wrap up. And so, Commissioner DeBonne, would you like to do the first four whereases? Commissioner Dare, the second, and then I can bring it on home.
Sure. Before the Board of Commissioners of Deschutes County, Oregon, proclamation. Whereas stroke is a leading cause of death and serious long-term disability in Oregon, with thousands of Oregonians suffering a stroke each year. And whereas every year, nearly 800,000 Americans experience a stroke, and timely recognition and treatment can significantly reduce the risk of death and disability. And whereas public awareness of the urgent need for immediate medical attention at the onset of stroke symptoms can significantly improve outcomes and reduce the impact of stroke. And whereas recognizing the signs of stroke can be remembered by the acronym BFAST. Balance, eye face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty, time to call 911.
And whereas risk factors for stroke, including high blood pressure, heart disease, smoking, diabetes, and high cholesterol, many of which are controllable or treatable, and whereas Deschutes County is committed to reducing the incidence and impact of stroke through public education, improved healthcare policy, and community-based initiatives, and whereas Stroke Awareness Oregon and numerous local organizations work tirelessly to increase awareness, provide education, and provide support survivors and their families, and whereas the health and safety of all Oregonians is a responsibility shared by both the healthcare community and the public, and it is imperative to raise awareness about stroke prevention, recognition, and response.
And whereas during Stroke Awareness Month, we reaffirm our commitment to promoting healthy lifestyles, supporting stroke survivors and their families, and encouraging everyone to learn the signs of stroke. Now, therefore, the Deschutes County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim May 2026 as Stroke Awareness Month in Deschutes County and encourages all citizens to familiarize themselves with the signs and symptoms of stroke, to understand the risk factors, and to adopt healthier lifestyles to prevent strokes.
So moved.
A second.
So we've read the proclamation. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
So thanks for your efforts. Central Oregon's becoming a leader at Stroke Awareness Oregon, and it resonates here, right? And I know that it supports our public health efforts, understanding what stroke is, responding, recovering, and then also family support, also the health system. St. Charles and all the medical providers here having this resource to get good facts as it's happening, as you're recovering, and also the friends and family too, because it affects everyone around the person that may have had a stroke. So those are my comments. Thanks very much for what you're doing.
Other questions or comments?
No, I'm just really glad. And I know Carol Stiles was behind this originally, and I so appreciate you stepping up.
Well,
It's definitely a need. And it is such a timely, critical factor when you get the right meds in order to reverse what you're dealing with. It's like it's a matter of life and death.
the dynamic,
Yeah, your life.
dynamic duo, Lana Hunter and Carol Stiles for sure.
Yeah. Can I ask, do you all have a sense of how many people or how many families are affected by stroke in any given year in Oregon or in Central Oregon?
Well, yesterday we had a volunteer appreciation party for our volunteers, and one of our volunteers and his wife are stroke survivors, and they spend probably 4 hours a day at St. Charles, and they said they have been hearing more and more calls about strokes happening and emergency staff responding to those throughout the hospital. So I meant, if we're saying one a day just in our county or more, or at the hospital, that's a pretty significant number throughout the year.
Yeah.
So we don't have a statewide tracking number right now. It's all done by the American Heart Association. So.
Well, there can be severity, I think, also. I mean, a stroke that's very much recoverable, a very impactful stroke, more debilitating.
Well, and I think people forget that it affects all ages.
Oh, yeah.
And so our campaigns are going to be reaching from pediatric and youth all the way through our active older adults.
Great. Thank you. Okay. Well, we have the adoption of the proclamation has been moved and seconded. If there are no further comments, then we can call for the vote. Commissioner DeBonne,
Yes.
Commissioner Dare,
Yes.
and Chair votes yes. Thank you so much.
Are we doing a picture though? I mean, we need,
Do-
the more press we can do, I think the better, don't you think?
Photo time.
Do we have a photographer?
Background up. Thank you, Eric. Yeah,
Where are my heels?
the logo up.
Oh, yeah, appreciate it. Thank you. More press.
Oh, black was the memo, I missed it.
3, 2. There you go. Congratulations. Thanks for what you're doing.
Health pass. Usually Kim and I usually. No.
Right.
Okay, well, I never wear gray because it's.
Our next proclamation is for Mental Health Awareness Month. Thanks for sticking with us, Holly.
Yes, so I mean, this is such an important month for us. We also have a week that we celebrate in October. So last time I was here, I think I mentioned both October.
Oh, just.
Keep going. Okay. So, as you know, mental health touches so many people in this community and in our country. About 1 in 4 people struggle with a mental health condition. So I think, it's something that everyone can relate to. You've either experienced it somewhat yourself, or you know a neighbor, or you have a family member, or you know someone who's struggling with a mental health condition. And yet our stigma around mental health still very much exists and still prevents people from getting the treatment that they need and to be proactive and getting their mental health treated. So appreciate the awareness today and the time dedicated to this topic. It's an incredibly important topic for a lot of people.
Are there any questions or comments?
As I say, after the motion is usually when I'll make a comment.
Okay.
So just,
Okay. Commissioner Dare?
Oh, after.
Oop. On and off today.
Okay. Well, Eric.
You definitely want to be recording when we read the proclamation. Yes. Oh, okay. Okay. Commissioner Dare, would you like to read the first 3 whereases and Commissioner DeBonne the second 3?
Proclamation. Whereas 1 in 5 adults and 1 in 5 adolescents in the United States live with a mental illness, and whereas mental health impacts a person's emotional, social, financial, and overall well-being, and whereas suicide is the second leading cause of death for ages 24 years old and under in Oregon, and
Whereas teenagers have experienced a 17.3% increase in the use of anxiety medications since 2010, and whereas only 1 out of 2 people with a serious form of mental illness seeks treatment, and whereas greater public awareness can help change negative attitudes towards people who suffer from mental illness, which can in turn make it easier for them to seek treatment.
Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Deschutes County Board of Commissioners proclaims the month of May 2026 to be Mental Health Awareness Month in Deschutes County and encourages talking about mental health to further awareness of the devastating consequences of unaddressed mental illness and to shine a welcoming light on all available paths to recovery.
so move.
And I will second it.
So the proclamation has been moved and seconded. I will just say that I am grateful that I'm grateful that we have a dedicated month to recognize mental health awareness. As Holly said, mental health concerns affect so many Americans, so many of the people that we know and we interact with in our daily lives, so many of the people that we are trying to take care of at Deschutes County. So it's great to have an awareness month to help destigmatize mental health, and it's also great to have an awareness month so that our focus and investments, on this important concern for our community are elevated at least for once a year.
So yeah, I'm really supportive of this. We're all in this thing called life together, but your relationships and reaching out, a person reaching out for help, or also just reaching over and helping somebody that may not look like they've got their, wouldn't say faculties, but life together at the moment. I just remember February, just a month ago, it felt like, the end of the winter, and it was just kind of a slog for me personally. It's like, is it going to end? But a little bit of sunshine really helps getting outdoors, and enjoying life a little bit. So being self-aware is so valuable here, and then helping our community members. So I'm excited to be able to dedicate this month for mental health awareness.
And the fact that, Holly, you say that only 50% of the people with serious mental illness actually seek treatment. That's real. And I know a lot of times the treatment causes its own issues. And so it's really critical.
I think this is where resources like the Stabilization Center are so important. And I think oftentimes people feel they have to be at a really poor state in order to access resources like that. And they really don't. You can access resources like that and more proactively come when things are not as bad and get the help early on so that things don't progress any further. So we welcome all folks. Seek help there. It's 24/7. It's available. It's private. And let's, just encourage people to get the help they need when they need it.
And you had a great news clip this morning. So thank you for that.
Great. Okay. If there are no further comments or questions, we can call for the vote. Commissioner Adair? Commissioner DeBonne?
Yes.
And chair votes yes.
Thank
Thank you, Holly. All right.
Want a
We go
special
directly-
photo with just that one?
See you all.
Don't you think we should?
May as well. We got a great media team that'll help pump it out to the world.
The fact that we're building 2 facilities.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? Yes.
How many years did that take?
What do you think?
At least a decade for one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're 2.
Congratulations on that, Bill. Yeah,
Yeah.
the next one.
All right, 3, 2.
Mental health awareness.
It was really nice to see that story.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Yes,
Yeah.
people will know that it's going to be available soon. I know, what, wait, 25, 30?
Yeah, it all adds up.
Yes.
All right. Item number 5 on our agenda is a proclamation for Historic Preservation Month.
These are all our favorites.
Welcome, Tanya. Welcome, Heidi.
Well, good morning.
Morning.
My name is Heidi Kennedy. I'm a volunteer on the Historical Museum Board.
And I'm Tanya Saltzman, Senior Planner, and I'm the staff liaison to the County Historic Landmarks Commission.
Mm.
I'm also a staff member for the Bend Landmarks Commission too.
Mm.
But I want to thank you so much for your support and for the importance of the National Preservation Month, which is May, and promoting the importance of preserving our historic places in Deschutes County. So I really want to thank you again for all the support, especially the museum. And we have events going on all month long. You can get on the museum's website, and there's a Preservation Month calendar. We have events all over the county, from Prineville to Lapine, the Sisters, Redmond, Bend. starting with a kickoff this evening at the new hotel across from the City Hall. So hopefully see you there, or one of the events this month, next month. Thank you.
And I'm just gonna, this is a very echoey microphone. We wanted to have some of our commissioners come, our AHLC commissioners, but ironically, they are presumably in transit to a historic preservation conference that,
Oh.
yeah, it's kind of a perfect timing, well, or imperfect. But this is paid for by the Certified Local Government Grant, which you've had me speak to you on that before. So it's, the money's at work, and they're going to a conference in Woodburn to learn all about preservation. And Heidi is also jetting off
Yep,
to that
right after
conference
this.
after this. So,
Are you jetting?
well, not jetting, sorry.
Heading to Woodburn.
Well,
Right.
do either of you want to share a highlight or two from the Historic Landmarks Commission from the last year?
Well, I think speaking as a staff member for the County Landmarks Commission, is just having an intact Landmarks Commission has been a great milestone. As the board is aware, it was a little bit dry for a while, and we had a little bit of a lull in kind of interest in participating in the commission. But thanks to the board and to kind of public outreach, we have a fully stacked commission of good variety of commissioners. We have some people who've been there for a while, who just really know the lay of the land, and we have some younger folks, and they're really kind of ready and primed to act as the commission. And I think as staff, it's exciting to have a fully active commission. And I think we anticipate there might be some interesting topics coming up for them in the next, I don't know, year pertaining to preservation issues in the county. So just having a group ready and willing and energized is great.
Just like Tanya, as a staff member for the Bend Landmarks Commission, I could say the same thing. They're just such dedicated volunteers, especially at the museum, to volunteers on the museum board. It's just wonderful. I think just the ongoing preservation work and efforts of going on in Bend, including the opening of the new hotel across from City Hall, things like that have been just really inspiring.
Great.
Well, I know we have an old stone building pieces on a pallet somewhere that could be re-put up somewhere. So that's a project that we don't want to forget about that. We do have a plaque going up at the courthouse. In fact, maybe that plaque's up.
About that, I was on my way over, and the trees are going in. I was
the front. Yeah, I know. I don't know. So change does happen, and we do want to respect the past here though too. So great to see you, Heidi. I haven't been able to get over to the board meetings at the Historical Society. I think Nick's been attending more though. So he checks me and I'm like, oh no, I got to go somewhere else tonight, but I'll get back in the groove at some point. So it's really exciting. And also I'll just acknowledge, Redmond Historical Society is, getting excited about taking it to the next level there, whatever that looks like. So there's more discussion happening in our communities over time.
fine too.
Yeah.
So-
That's great.
And as I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, I'm on the art committee for the airport, and I'm sitting by the curator from the High Desert Museum, and he's asking me, the Lizinga Mill is from my family, but he's saying, no, Penny, your family bought it from somebody, and who did they buy it from? And I've been trying to find out for 20 years who they bought it from, and I'm sitting there. So I text my Aunt Mary Lou, and I text my sister, and my Aunt Mary Lou actually knew who it was, and I could share and I said, we just needed to have the right people sitting in the room by each other. Is that, amazing, because I'm just like, I figured my family would ever build it, right? They're farmers, ranchers, those people, the expertise of what my dad could do on the ranch was always amazing, because, they have to fix things all the time. You can't always call a mechanic, but yeah, so that was one of my historical, for the museum and all the things that the Lizinga Sawmill has built back there is really, it always means a lot to me. So it was an Ukiah, Oregon heirloom from the 1930s.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, well, yeah, I didn't know if you'd heard that story, but I just thought wasn't it funny though, that I'm sitting by the curator and he's like, Patty, I'm 20 years now. Nobody answers the question. So.
All right. So moving on to our proclamation, Commissioner DeBone, would you like to read the first two whereases? And Commissioner Dare, the second two?
Here we go. Before the Board of Commissioners of Deschutes County, Oregon, a proclamation. Whereas historic preservation is economically and environmentally and socially responsible and supports a culture of reuse by conserving places and maximizing the life cycle of existing resources. And whereas historic places help tell the story of Deschutes County and strengthen our shared sense of place, identity, and community.
Whereas historic preservation supports local economies by sustaining jobs and skills, encouraging investment in existing buildings and neighborhoods, and reinforcing heritage and cultural tourism. And whereas it is important to celebrate the role of history in our lives and to recognize the contributions of residents, property owners, volunteers, and organizations who work to preserve the heritage that has shaped us as a people. And
Whereas the Deschutes County Historical Society, Deschutes County Historic Landmarks Commission, the Redmond and Bend Landmarks Commissions, Three Sisters Historical Society, Lapine Historical Society, and other volunteers are joining forces to promote the importance of preserving historic places during Historic Preservation Month 2026. Now, therefore, we, the Deschutes County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim May 2026 as Historic Preservation Month in Deschutes County and call upon all residents to join others across the United States in recognizing and celebrating this special observance.
So moved.
good.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further comments or questions?
Just remember, we pulled out the old Holzman card at the Centennial, and I haven't seen it since, but I mean, that was 100. Oh, good. Yeah. So that's 100-year history kind of things. And then I really appreciate the Historical Society rotating, displays over time. So there's always something new you can learn about the past.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if there's no additional comments or questions, we'll call for the vote. Commissioner DeBonne,
Yes.
Commissioner Dare,
Yes.
and chair votes yes. Would you like to take a
Photo opportunity.
Thank
I'll
you.
just quickly put in a plug. Next Monday is the quarterly county HLC meeting in this room at 5:30 p.m.
You're in there.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Maybe I'll see your chili feed.
Oh, yeah. We'll do some stuff together. Usually drop a bottle of wine out.
Thank you so much. There you go.
Now there's a whole bunch of folks.
Yeah, these are like so comfy.
Okay.
All right. Item number 6 on our agenda is a proclamation recognizing Vietnamese American Remembrance Day. I believe that in prior years, Tao Tu joined us virtually for this item. Eric, is there anyone online? Okay. Okay. So,
So I can just share,
Great. yeah.
and commissioners, we did receive the request from, as you mentioned, the president of the Oregon Vietnamese, the Vietnamese community of Oregon, the president of the Vietnamese community of Oregon. Last year was the milestone year, if I'm recalling correctly. It was the 50th year, and he requested that the Board of Commissioners honor and celebrate this day again this year, as many cities across the state of Oregon have, and the state of Oregon has as well. And the day is tomorrow, Thursday, April 30th. That is the day that the proclamation aims to recognize and to celebrate.
Yeah.
And last year, Mr. Tao Tu was able to dial in from Washington, D.C. So it's kind of a celebration across the country. And he has asked us again. So it's exciting to be able to acknowledge Vietnamese American Remembrance Day and the history following the Vietnam War, basically.
Yeah.
And I want to recognize Lerner Tien, who's on the ATP tour. He's a Vietnamese. I mean, his parents were Vietnamese. I believe they came on boats, and he is now one of the top tennis players of the United States. And he's, it's been incredible, his rise to excellence. But I love seeing interviews of his parents and how they got here and how they met, and what an amazing contribution they've done for America.
Well, I just wanted to acknowledge a personal connection with this Remembrance Day. Basically, in the 1960s and 70s, communism was spreading across Asia and resulted in a civil war in Vietnam, which was the catalyst for so many Vietnamese Americans who are currently here in the United States coming here. And there's a lot of parallels in that story with my family history. In the 1940s, 30s and 40s, communism was spreading across Asia and was a primary factor behind the civil war in China, which resulted in my family departing mainland China, being part of the Republic of China government, and that is the reason why my parents arrived here in the 1950s, very shortly after the Chinese Exclusion Act had been repealed at the federal level. So, separated by 20 or 30 years, but the stories are very parallel, and so it's an honor for me to read this proclamation and recognize this story of how global instability and turmoil can lead to people arriving in the United States essentially as refugees and finding a welcome here. So with that, Commissioner Adair, would you like to read the first two whereases and Commissioner DeBonne the second two?
Sure. Before the Board of Commissioners of Deschutes County, Oregon proclamation. Whereas Vietnamese refugees have proudly resided in the state of Oregon since the conclusion of the Vietnam War on April 30th, 1975. And whereas Vietnamese Americans have offered their energy and talents to Oregon in a multitude of prominent areas, including industry, economy, culture, education, and military service. And
whereas Vietnamese Americans in Oregon have made our state their second heart, mind, and family homeland. And whereas every year Vietnamese Americans observe Remembrance Day on April 30th to solemnly honor the 58,000 American soldiers and more than 300,000 South Vietnamese soldiers who sacrificed their lives in the line of duty for freedom and democracy in South Vietnam from 1955 to 1975.
Whereas Oregon Governor Tina Kotek has declared April 30th, 2026 to be Vietnamese American Remembrance Day. Now, therefore, the Board of Commissioners of Deschutes County hereby recognizes April 30th, 2026 as Vietnamese American Remembrance Day and encourages all community members to join in this observance.
so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Just acknowledging, America is the great melting pot. There's a lot of history here, celebrating 250 years of the Constitution this summer, this year, and we get to celebrate the fact that these last 50 years since 1975, we've had this mix of ethnicity here in the United States.
And some of the Vietnamese people that I have known over my life, their children have actually gone on to graduate from our universities. They work incredibly hard, and they've been incredibly successful. So I just want to acknowledge that.
All right, calling for the vote. Commissioner DeBonne.
Yes.
Commissioner Adair. Oh, sorry.
That's
Commissioner Adair made the motion. Commissioner Adair,
Yes.
Commissioner DeBonne.
Ladies first. I'll say yes.
Yes. And chair votes yes. Thank you. Okay. 4 powerful proclamations this morning. And now we will move on to other action items. Number 7, Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee term expirations and reappointments.
Good morning again. For the record, Tanya Saltzman, Senior Planner, and I'm the staff liaison to the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee, as well as the HLC. And I have with me Diane Flowers, who's the chair of BPAC, and she's great.
Good morning.
Welcome. Thank you.
I'm here today, or we're here before the board to discuss reappointments and expirations. We haven't previously brought this up in a meeting. Sometimes we do it internally, but today we're here in front of you. Essentially, 6 of the 13 BPAC members' terms are set to expire per their usual. Terms are 3 years. 2 of those are appointed by cities. So one is the city of Bend and one is the city of Sisters, and those have a kind of a separate process that goes through those respective cities. Up for discussion today are the 4 at-large members, which are essentially county appointed. We have Wendy Holtzman, David Green, Kim Reynolds, and Megan Winchell. Of those 4 who are expiring, 3 have requested reappointment. 1 has not. She has other things going on in her life. So the question for the board today is, how would you like to proceed? So the options are to grant reappointment for those 3, which would be done at another meeting by consent agenda and more formally for an additional 3-year term, or to open recruitments for each of those positions to go out to the public and look for new people. And of course, those existing people are allowed to reapply as well. For the 4th person, Megan Winchell, we will be reopening or opening a recruitment for her slot regardless, because she has indicated that she is not continuing with BPAC. So at the very least, we are recruiting for 1. And the question is, do you want to recruit for the 3 additional or reappoint them since they've expressed interest in reappointment? Hopefully that's clear. And then I'm working with the cities, like I said, to establish their procedures. Ultimately, this will all come back before the board for the consent agenda once everything's buttoned up. I'm happy to answer any questions, and Diane's here to answer any questions as well that the chair can provide that staff cannot.
That's it. So my only thought is I don't have a feel for, the tasks or the engagement or the cities engaged in asking for guidance about transportation choices. Some of the corridors in Bend are being redeveloped. And so, I feel a little disconnected just because of the speed of everything happening these days. Any thoughts from the committee's point of view, or your thought?
I think the committee also thinks they're happening very rapidly, be quite honest, and maybe could be done with a little more publicity and awareness. Sometimes we do these things and they get, all of a sudden we get, we were talking about the other day, is you get lambasted on Nextdoor, right, and read the rants, and it's because we aren't communicating well. If we can give some guidance and how those things happen so quickly. I think part of our charter is that we should be part of the discussion up front. And because things are happening so quickly, sometimes that doesn't happen. We have to kind of insert ourselves in how we see, helping the planning be what we would like to see for bikes and pedestrians, because everybody's a pedestrian at some point. And I think we forget that sometimes, that, you might drive and you want that road, but at some point you are a pedestrian when you get out of your car and walk to your destination.
And I think, BPAC operates in sort of an interesting space. They ultimately answer to the Board of County Commissioners. They're not necessarily an advocacy group,
Right.
like let's say Bend Bikes or what have you. They exist within the purview of kind of the county government. So we've done our best to operate within that space and kind of be a connector. So I think what's great about the meetings is that we have our regular committee members, plus we have kind of all of our regular special guests. So it's people from commute options and CET and things like that. So just getting everyone literally to the table at the same time and talking about these projects to try to kind of get ahead of things and be able to nudge in a certain way to get, more consideration for bike ped stuff. And I will say that the members that we have who are up for reappointment have been longstanding, they've been involved tremendously in BPAC or other related organizations, and they're really dedicated and they put in a lot of time. So I think, we're not lacking for
Engagement.
Engagement,
yeah,
no, and
they're great.
And I think also the committee members are also sitting in on and participating in COACT and MPO and any safety improvements that are going on. Also, the most current one with the Deschutes Triangle ATP program planning. So sitting in a lot of those. So there is participation in those kind of more upfront now. So.
What was the term? Deschutes Triangle ATP?
Right. So
I have no idea.
Oh, sorry. So the trail that will lead us from Bend to Sisters to Redmond.
Okay. Larger, bigger. Okay.
Bigger project
Out.
and active transportation.
I was envisioning instead of roundabouts, we're going to have triangles. The way you said it, I was like, what is that?
You didn't know that?
I did.
No, it's intended
So, but yeah,
to
the-
provide kind of an off-street way. of
Yes.
getting
Yes.
Between those cities, whether that's for work or for
Well,
recreation or what have you.
And yeah, we're all advocates of, having a nice route for commuting, for recreation, for touring. So yeah, I mean, just the terminology hadn't heard.
Yeah. And I think the other piece of that really was brought up in the last planning meeting was that, a lot of people may drive partway and want to park somewhere outside of a city and ride in for work, that last five miles, right?
Yep.
Because it's easier to ride your bike once you get closer to Bend or other areas than to drive in.
Well, and just an observation, pulling out of our parking lot here, there's a new bike lane, and then the cars are parked off of the bike lane, right? So it's hard to see across the cars. So then you're pulling out with your vehicle, and then you could have a bike coming, but the bike could come in from both directions. So all of a sudden, I mean, it's like, instead of looking left to take a right, you need about 4 different variables in front of you before you even move. So it changes the dynamics out there.
Yes, it does. Yeah, it gets complicated.
I'll just say I greatly appreciate the focus and efforts of the BPAC to help us, walk and bike to get to the places where we're going, to aid our mobility, and particularly to do so safely. That the focus on improving the safety of biking and walking is much appreciated. On this question of reappointments, tracking the BPAC a little bit, I am definitely aware of how active, engaged, and committed the members of the BPAC who are interested in being reappointed are. And I support that. And at the same time, I want to make sure that if there is new energy, new blood out in the community that wants to support and help with the work of the BPAC, that there's room for that as well. Having one's vacant spot is maybe that's enough. But I just wanted to ask, if your feeling on that, your gut feeling on that, are there a lot of people who would be interested in, serving on the BPAC if we opened up more spots? And again, that would, we wouldn't be necessarily, telling people that they're not going to be reappointed, but we would open it up for, basically competitive application process. Or is one, is one going to kind of, cover the demand out there, kind of one open spot? I mean, another, kind of another aspect of this is, are there people who engage with the BPAC who are not formally members? And, that might be the best pipeline of all, kind of having people who've demonstrated that interest and are coming, even if they're, not formally appointed and engaged.
Yeah, those are all really good questions. And staff have thought about, it's hard to know who's going to come out and apply. I sometimes get inquiries. I think I've received one inquiry and participation over the last, I don't know, quarter, something like that. My gut feeling is that keeping one vacancy or one recruitment is probably sufficient. I think filling 5 slots would be a fairly tall order. It could happen. Certainly, I remember I think it was during COVID, we had a lot of people applying. It was stunning. We had to choose from, I don't know, it was 15 people, but that was the anomaly. So my personal opinion as staff is that one vacancy is probably sufficient. And to your point, Commissioner Chang, Chair Chang, about participating but not being an official committee member, that these meetings are open to the public. So we often suggest if people want to dip their toes in the BPAC waters to come to meetings, participate. It's a pretty informal group. Conversation is free flowing. We encourage people to come and pop in and see what it's like.
So Tanya, when are those meetings? So we get it in the.
Those meetings are the first Thursday, usually, of every month, from 12 to 1:30. And it is on the Deschutes meetings page. They're in person as well as virtual. We do a few meetings. We kind of do a road show. Next week is in the Sisters.
Yeah. And then the following month is in Redmond.
But usually we hold them at the ODOT offices. So people can come, and we do have members of the public come to those sometimes, whether they have a specific comment or just want to kind of listen. So that's my opinion as a staff liaison.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that, is that especially the ones that we have, I know who it is, and they are contributing members. I think the person who's not being reappointed made a good decision for herself. And I think at some point she would be interested in doing this again, but at this time it's not good for her life. So I think one is a good, otherwise we're, when you consider half of the board, and then next year the other half is going to need to be reappointed or posted.
Well, I suppose posting one vacant position is going to give us a sense of how much interest there is, and we can think about it more next year.
Well, and I think also if we post one, then you've got, and we get this multitude of people who want to participate. Those that aren't selected have the ability, and we can suggest, if you really truly want to do this, we've got all these openings coming again next year. Come and participate, see if this is really what you want to do. It's public.
Yeah.
Great.
A monthly meeting. So it's, it's a little bit of time commitment, which we appreciate people taking that time, but sometimes people might not quite realize that when they jump in, which is completely fair.
So where's the Sisters meeting being held next month then?
I believe City Hall.
City Hall.
It's
Okay.
at City Hall.
And Redmond will be at City Hall too? Okay, good. All right. So we have it in the record if people want to become engaged.
Yes. And they can always email on the BPAC webpage. There's an email address that gets sent to me, so I can always provide people with logistics or tips.
Great.
All right. So, if Dave, there's a couple of recommended motions on this. If we chose option 1, do we need a motion? If it's
Direction, maybe not so much emotion, because they're going to come back.
We come back.
Consent.
right.
So
Either
yes,
way, it's
option 1 seems like it makes the most sense from what you're telling us today.
So I'll move to reappoint the 3 at-large BPAC members who have requested to be reappointed and initiate recruitment for 1 at-large vacancy.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Nope. talked that out pretty well. And with that, we'll call for the vote. Commissioner DeVone,
Yes.
Commissioner Dare, and chair votes yes.
Thank you very much. Thanks for what you're doing.
Ongoing support of BPAC.
Yeah.
It's largely appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we greatly appreciate the work of the BPAC. So, all right. Item number 8, resolution imposing public use restrictions on unprotected lands and county-owned lands to lessen wildfire starts. Lauren, Ben, thanks for joining us.
Morning, Chair and Commissioners. My name is Lauren Street. I'm with the Deschutes County Natural Resources Department as a Natural Resources Specialist. We are here to propose a resolution to impose public use restrictions to lessen wildfire starts on unprotected lands, as well as Deschutes County-owned tax lots. A bit of background there. Each year since 2014, Deschutes County has imposed public use restrictions to prevent wildfire starts on unprotected lands and lands owned by Deschutes County. Unprotected lands are defined as those lands outside of structural fire protection districts and Oregon Department of Forestry fire protection. As we are transitioning into warmer and drier summer weather, our staff just wants to present these restrictions to the board for their consideration. And a couple of dates to note there. July, we are recommending July 1 for the fire use restrictions, as well as April 30th for open pile burn closure.
April
Did you
30th.
say July 1st?
Or sorry, June 1st, if I did, June 1st.
I wrote July down and I'm thinking like, what you said, okay?
June 1st.
And April 30th being tomorrow. Okay. Are there any questions?
So are we in alignment with pile burning, debris burning, all the other agencies are doing that this weekend too, closing it?
Yeah, the Central Oregon Fire Chiefs Association convened and came out and said that they will be closing all of their open pile debris burning on April 30th. So we're in alignment with them.
Okay.
Yeah, April 30th is pretty early, and it reemphasizes the point we have heard repeatedly in the last month or two that people need easy, safe, cost-effective ways to dispose of the material when they do defensible space work around their homes. Yeah, but the little biochar workshop that we did a few weeks ago that Lauren was kind enough to help set up presentations for, also reemphasize that point. But fire-free is good, but fire-free is expensive, and it also takes up a lot of space in our landfill.
So we're also including all lands owned by Deschutes County. So that's going to be some long-term camping choices that we've had to make. So we're going to ask for no fires on all county properties this summer. Which is, cooking fires and warming fires in these camps also, just confirming where we're at here.
We can't move that date up to like the middle of May, the June 1st date. I mean, I know it was 22 degrees at my house this morning. It was freezing, and it's going to be maybe 70 later, but I just feel like things are so dry. I'm hearing that Redmond Fire has been incredibly engaged in putting out fires. I don't know. What do you think, Ben?
Ben?
You certainly could move the date up. The June 1st date was selected to bring it in closer alignment with where Oregon Department of Forestry has traditionally enacted their closures, which this mirrors in public messaging and the restrictions in place by that.
But it's so dry over here. And if you're talking about the entire state, and yet this morning, on the radio, it said 96% of Oregon was in a drought, and yet my one sister had a flood at her house the other day. you know,
This is the June 1st or June 15th, that's in alignment with the Central Oregon districts of
it
Oregon
is.
Forestry, not the entire state. And so we're looking at probably aligning with their typical closure date.
Okay, so June 1st is probably as early as to match everybody else, then you're saying.
To avoid confusion out in the public.
Okay.
It's a plus.
Just, the other day we had the presentation over defensible space, and they had this rule 0 to 5, and then you could put a cord of wood at 5 feet. And so I was talking to Sun River the other day, and they actually have a rule that it needs to be 20 feet from a home, but they actually recommend that it's on your property line if you're going to be storing a cord of wood outside. So have you seen that document?
Not familiar with that. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think their Public Works Department may have specific regulations for that. And I think the recommendation is, yeah, your cord of wood is 20 feet, or some homes don't have 20 feet before their property line. So it's getting it as far away from their structure as possible. If you are indeed storing that over the summer.
Yeah.
So Ben, if in your experience, and what would you recommend people? I mean, what if they have room in their garage or something? I mean, what are you recommending people to do?
Closing that or being done with their firewood by this time of year.
Okay, only buy enough for one season, right?
If possible, or it's stored in undercover, in a shed, in a garage. And yeah.
Okay. Then
the board, I think we could certainly change that date of when closure, the board would like to see a closure on that. And these, again, are lands that are unprotected. They're outside of any kind of rural fire protection district, and they're also outside of Oregon Department of Forestry's protection. So certainly affect the county lands that are outside of those. So we could certainly bump that date up if the board so moves, I believe. Lauren's giving me a look. Maybe not.
okay, Lauren.
We can look.
As long as it's
We can look
June 1st and not July.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's,
Yeah, just to echo the consistent messaging with our
I support that.
partners here.
Okay, well, I did write down July, and I thought, whoa, how did that? I know. I get it. Thank you. Thanks, Lauren.
And just to circle back to the model defensible space code presented to us by the Oregon State Fire Marshal, they present that as a minimum. And so we can, if we wanted to say, when we adopt this, we want 20 feet to line up with the Sun Rivers Association, but we could do that. So, that it is, again, it's a model. It's a template. It's not a take it or leave it in the way that the R327 specialty code is a take it or leave it.
I did hear good news. So someone who bought a house in Sisters was able to get insurance. And it wasn't through the one company that I was told was the only one still writing policies. So that was actually excellent news yesterday. It's challenging times.
Within the city of Sisters proper, that may be a reflection that the city, the local government in that case, has adopted citywide requirements that makes Sisters a more welcoming and inviting place for insurers to stay and provide policies and provide coverage.
No, actually, I should have clarified. These were out in Sisters country and they got the coverage. So nice to hear.
I support the resolution as written.
So is that a motion?
I was just trying to move us along here. I'll make it a motion. I move approval of resolution number 2026-015, imposing public use restrictions to lessen wildfire starts on unprotected lands and lands owned by Deschutes County.
And I'll second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Oh, I do want to put it into the record. I have been trying to find out, 9 fires have started from southern Jefferson County that have come towards Sisters. And so I've been checking with the commissioner in Jefferson County to see, have some of those spots where those fires started, is that area all in a better way now? So I'm waiting to hear back. Because, yeah, it's happened 9 times.
All right. If there's no further comments or questions, We'll call for the vote. Commissioner DeBonne,
Yes.
Commissioner Dare, and Chair votes yes. Thank you so
Thank
much
you, Lauren.
for
Thank you
this,
You do.
for everything you do. Okay. Item number 9, consideration of using Crow budget funds or other identified county revenue to pay an additional $2,104 for the Gales' land use application fee.
Good morning, Commissioners. Eric Krupp, Deputy County Administrator. This item came before the Commissioners 2 weeks, I think it was 2 weeks ago, and the board asked staff to put it forward to the Crow Board and get their thoughts and recommendation. The item was scheduled for the Crow Board on Monday night. I planned on attending, but Nick and I were out touring the DSL land with Commissioner Dare and the head of the DSL. So I was not in attendance, but there was a support from the Crow Board to use Crow funds for this additional land use cost. It was, I believe, a 4-to-1 vote. There was also 3-to-1.
I recused myself from the vote.
Okay. So it's a 3-to-1 vote. There was also discussion about the county using other funds to cover this cost. And there's a discussion with the Crow Board about sending a letter to the commissioners indicating that they preferred if the county used other funds to cover this cost. But ultimately, the Crow Board did support using Crow funds, which are originally funds from the state of Oregon. It was part of that $1 million grant program for to stand up coordinated houseless response offices. And those funds have been sitting in a county budget. So if the board is supportive, I would recommend, there's a proposed recommended motion where the board would give county administrator approval to sign the amendment with the Gales brothers.
I'll just add a little context to this point that the Crow Board, the first questions they asked were, well, hasn't the Board of County Commissioners expressed support and approval, or support, encouragement for moving forward with this shelter and transitional housing work at the Gales property? And I said, oh, there certainly has been support expressed and encouragement towards the Gales family for proceeding with this work. And then the next question was, well, if the board is really supportive of this work, can't they find $2,104 somewhere to cover this additional cost that essentially will pay for county staff work on an application? And I explained to them that that was my preference, but that I didn't necessarily think that the board was ready to go there. And so they said back, well, if we believe in this project and we think it is incredibly important for our community to keep moving forward at the fastest pace possible, then I guess we can cover the costs. So the Crow has indicated a willingness to move forward, a willingness to absorb this small cost to keep this critically important project going, and has also questioned, or asked the question, isn't the Board of Commissioners supportive and committed to this project as well?
So Eric, do we have a new number on their interest income? It said it was $16,935. Is there a new number? Or,
I don't have that number. I could.
okay, well, I mean, right now that still leaves them with almost $15,000 in the interest earned on the state funding.
Yeah, that 16,000 number was from a couple weeks ago, so it's.
Okay,
gone up
all right.
slightly.
Okay, so it's probably 15,000 at least by now. So, we have a lot of issues coming up. I'm supportive of the project, but I definitely think they could take that 2104 from the interest. And since they approved it, I would agree, I would agree with that.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
Is there a second? So wait, you're not going to support the Crow funds being used for this purpose? Okay. Well, I'll second. Because, not because I think that the county shouldn't be the one paying for, finding these additional funds, but because it is urgent to keep forward momentum going on this Gales property shelter and transitional housing project. So it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Yeah, you don't want to give any thoughts on why you didn't want to second the motion, or why you're going to be voting in opposition?
I did previously when we started this, so I'll just follow the same logic.
Okay. All right. If there's no further discussion, we'll call for the vote. Commissioner Dare?
Yes.
Commissioner DeBonne?
No.
And chair votes yes. Thanks, Eric. Here we go. All right. You're sticking with us. Item number 10, discussion and deliberations of Fair Board member appointments.
Good morning, Eric Kropp, Deputy County Administrator, former interim Fair and Expo Director. This item is discussion and deliberations for appointment of the Fair Board. We currently have 3 vacant seats. 2 of the seats expire at the end of calendar year of 2028, and then 1 of the seats expires at the end of this calendar year. The Fair Board appointments are 3-year terms. The reason why the 1 vacancy expires at the end of this calendar year is because of the vacancy of David Bishop. The board interviewed 8 candidates over several weeks. Staff tallied the commissioners' scores, which were provided to the commissioners, and I'm here to answer any questions or can make some suggestions, but want to turn it back over to the board.
Great. Thank you. I saw your email.
And if anybody, if the commissioners need a copy of the tallies, I've got them here.
Yeah. Based on the scores, I would suggest that we appoint Aaron Borla for one of the longer terms, and since the scores were tied, we could talk about appointing either Carrie Novick or Wendy Every to the other 4-year term, or 3-year term, sorry. And there were the gap in scores among those 3 and the next person down on the list was also not very big. So we could discuss that as well. I don't think we should be going too far down that list, but certainly distributing these 3 seats among the top 4 people in terms of scores among our interviewees, I think would be appropriate.
Commissioner Dare, I'll take your lead on this. I got my thoughts, but I mean, you're very engaged with the fair and the
Yes,
Fair
I am.
Association and Fair Board, so.
I would, because Wendy is someone new on the board, I would actually like her to have that second appointment till 2028. And then if you're saying Aaron gets the other 28 appointment, then that would mean Carrie would get the one ends this year. And then I'm sure she would want to reapply. I know that she's really appreciated by several members currently on the board. She has been on the board for quite a while, and I don't think Carrie, with her enthusiasm for serving there, I don't think she would really mind if she had to reapply, or at that time, we could reappoint her. And so she wouldn't have to reapply.
So I guess, yeah, so we're all kind of on the same page with the three names. I would support reappointing both people in their existing chair and then put an Erin in that seat, knowing that she could be reappointed, knowing we just went through the process. So just a little bit different logic.
All right, three options, three commissioners,
All-
three votes.
All three of those are options, obviously. I would recommend that whoever's put in the shorter term, that staff comes back in October. And then at that point, the board has the option of appointing the person for a new 3-year term and not going through an open process.
Right.
as we just
Since
did
it's
it.
so fresh.
Yeah,
Yes,
but it would
it's so
obviously
fresh.
be up to the board, but we would come back in October to at least have that conversation.
Okay. I'm happy with, either way.
Well, I would support Commissioner Dare's earlier recommendation, appoint Erin Borla for one of the 4-year positions, Wendy Every for the second one, and we can put Carrie Novick into the shorter term position and consider reappointment.
Great. And then just be sure it comes back early enough so that, Carrie lets us know and
Yeah, we plan on
we keep the rest of the board really happy and engaged.
probably early October. That way, if for whatever reason the board wanted to open up the recruitment, we have time to appoint before the end of the calendar year.
Okay. So do I need to make that motion then?
Yes, please.
Okay, so to be very specific, I move that we put Wendy Avery up at the term ending 12/31/28. Erin Borla would be the other 12/31/28. And then Carrie Novak would be the interim 12/31/26, whereas she would be re-engaged by Eric in October to reapply.
You can second it. You can second it just because I had different logic, but I'll support this.
Okay, I'll second that. Any further discussion? Okay, calling for the vote. Commissioner Dare,
Yes.
Commissioner DeBonne.
Yes.
And chair votes yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
And also I'd like to thank the candidates. We had a very
Yeah.
strong pool. I think we had 20 or 22 applicants total.
Mm-hmm.
Very strong number that the board was able to interview. So I'd like to thank those candidates who applied.
And the patience in the process, because we interviewed once and then a second time, but it's fine. It's just the way it had to happen this time. And it was really engaging to talk to all the candidates. I want to thank each and every one for coming in and discussing this with us. Fair is going to be turning a corner here with new leadership, the land maybe taking the next step here at some point, master planning for what's the next big phase out there. So a lot of excitement at the Fair board these days.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Item number 11, audit committee term expirations and reappointments.
We're on a roll today.
Mm-hmm. Big day.
Lots of proclamations, lots of committee appointments.
I'm Elizabeth Pape, the county internal auditor. So we are coming for a very similar request here from the audit committee. We have 4 positions that are open, expiring at the end of June, 3 public members and 1 department head appointed member. Your guidance on whether you would like us to open up a recruitment for those public members or reappoint them. All of the members are interested in remaining on the committee.
So exactly who are they?
Lee Randall is the department head
Okay.
member. He's with facilities. Daryl Parrish, who's also our committee chair, is up for reappointment. Joe Healy is up for reappointment. He's our vice chair also. And Phil Anderson. Yes, Phil Anderson.
Great.
Lee's been on the committee for 5 years, Daryl for 10, Joe for 4, and Phil for 2.
And I believe Daryl wasn't he like the city manager or something at like West something? Yeah.
California.
Yeah, yes. I know he's an excellent chair. And Joe Healy actually saved my husband's country club. He found an serious embezzlement when he was there working. So what a small world. And then he moved up here. And then Phil Anderson, I think, has been an outstanding new member engaged in that committee.
Yep, all of these members are very engaged, attending.
Right. So as someone who's on the audit committee, I would say, I think it would be really important to reappoint them. And Lee wants to do it again?
Yep.
Oh, good, great. Well, it's good to have him on there.
I support that also.
I'm open to the idea of reappointments. I would like to speak with some of these audit committee members prior to making the reappointment. Doesn't have to be an interview, but I think that would be an important due diligence for me as a commissioner who is appointing people to these very important committee that who I don't have much of a relationship with yet.
And I recently I sat down with every one of them just in the last 6 months. So I've talked to each and every one of them individually.
Well, can we pause this until I have a chance to have a one-on-one sit down with each of those people?
So it's 6:30 when their term expires?
That's right. So if we were to do a recruitment and have them reappointed by the August committee meeting,
Yeah, so that's a good window.
it's kind of a tight time.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate the people that are on the committee. So,
And I'm fine though, if you want to interview and say hi.
Okay. Well, maybe we can, Elizabeth, maybe you could work with me to schedule those discussions, and we can bring this back in a few weeks.
Would you want to meet, just because one of them is a department head, would you want to meet with him as well as I schedule those, or?
I not particularly about this, but I do talk to Lee on a pretty regular basis. So we can skip that one.
Okay, so just the public ones.
That would be great. Thank you.
Okay.
so
Great.
I'd say in 2 weeks, then if we bring it back, is that still keep our timeline okay? Oh, wait,
We have
we
a
don't have a meeting in 2 weeks on Wednesday.
busy couple of weeks. So I can commit to definitely by the end of May, maybe sooner, to bring this back, because we're trying to reappoint people in time for an August meeting. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Other items. Staff has one.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. I'd like to I don't usually have many updates, but I'd like to provide some. There's just so much happening right now across the organization in the county. This week, the courthouse expansion project reached a major milestone and it opened. It looks fabulous. It's functioning well from what we're hearing. And I just want to take the moment to thank everybody for the really great work to complete the courthouse expansion. That's kind of piece number one. Piece number two, yesterday, late afternoon, we launched a brand new website for the organization. And it's important. It's DeschutesCounty.gov. The current website continues to work, Deschutes.org, but we really encourage everybody to take a look at it. It's a major step forward for the organization, improved accessibility for all users. It looks great, and it's a really big thing that our team has been working on for a long time, and thanks to everybody that contributed to that as well. It's really fabulous.
In introduction to that,
Okay.
I mean, just because it is, it is the front end, you go to that
Mhm.
website, but then what are the capabilities, capacities? When are we transitioning to a gov email address? There's just all kinds of little things we could learn about the big picture there.
Okay, great. I'll be
It
sure
could be
to,
a board meeting item or just something for us to learn about, but
yeah. Happy to do that. It's really, really terrific what they've done with the website, and it looks fabulous. Happy to do that for sure. Just a couple more. Another one is that the Solid Waste Advisory Committee met again. They reconvened after some time, and the consultants just provided a fabulous presentation on evaluating the two final sites. And so they met this past, just a couple of weeks ago here in April, perhaps it was last week, and then they're going to meet again and hopefully have a recommendation to the Board of Commissioners at the May meeting. If not, they have a third meeting scheduled in June. But if you haven't had an opportunity to take a look at the presentation, it really does a fantastic job of evaluating every possible aspect of both sites. And they really, really did a terrific job on that. Next, just the last couple pieces here. Budget Committee meeting is in 2 weeks in this room, May 12th to the 14th. Always very, very important. So that means the regular board meetings on that Wednesday won't occur. It'll be a Budget Committee meeting instead. And then just the last piece is I want to thank our IT team for helping with the audiovisual issues that we're having in the back of the room. We're investing in upgrading and improving the entire system. So I apologize to anybody in the public that hasn't had a seamless and smooth experience watching the board meeting. They are available on YouTube, and thanks to both Kim and Eric for navigating that and coordinating with our IT team. So I don't generally have a lot of updates, but there's just a lot happening and a lot I think we have to be proud of as an organization right now. So thank you very much.
I mean, if I could ask or comment on a couple of those things. So I think it would be worthwhile to check out the website, have a walkthrough.
Oh, great.
Maybe we could do that in a work session, just for 10, 15 minutes or something like that. And on the SWAC analysis, I did want to ask, so in this very thorough analysis of these two sites, there weren't any fatal flaws identified. So I mean, we haven't eliminated any of the sites from consideration. There's just some are better at this and some are better at that. Okay.
That's exactly right. Correct.
Okay. Additional other items?
So just acknowledging again, the front of the courthouse looks like it's done. So I don't think the doors are being used today, but the last shrubbery is going in, dirt and everything, and it really looks nice out there in front of the courthouse. There's quite a little set of projects to be done for the next 6 months or so, but it just really looks good from the street. Tomorrow morning's Core 3 regularly scheduled meeting, so we'll be updating on the phase of construction that's being planned for next year, the status of everything. No public-private partnerships being discussed at this point in time. So that's a Core 3 meeting. And then Sun River Lapine Economic Development lunch tomorrow that I think we'll all be in attendance. I'll be speaking on behalf of the board too.
And Chair, if I just may, of course, our team is watching, and our team said that you will have a walkthrough of the new website on Monday at your work session. So both for your benefit as well as for that of the public, people that would like to tune in and watch and learn more about it or watch it recorded after the fact, you'll have that opportunity in very short order.
Great. Yeah. I know that yesterday was kind of short notice to expect things to be up and running, but I was trying to point some people to information about protecting your household from smoke, and was caught in the middle of the website transition. So I knew where there was a link, and I clicked there to try to ensure that the information was there before I sent it over to someone, and had to tell them, well, it'll be here in a couple days. So just bear with us. Commissioner Dara, any other items or?
I don't think so. I think I brought up enough things today.
Okay. Well then, to move on to the groundwater stewardship proposals that I would like to raise in the meeting next week, just to give you a little bit of a preview. It does seem like there is increasing interest among the board in groundwater stewardship in the last few weeks. And I would like to bring back a couple of proposals that I've made in the past for consideration. I start, I won't go too far back in time, but I'll start with a proposal to add an item to our work plan for the Community Development Department that I made after the 2023 letter from DEQ about groundwater. And they raised significant concern, DEQ did, at the end of 2023. And one of the things that I asked was, well, in the past, we looked at Goal 11 exceptions for a huge area between La Pine and Sun River. What about doing a more focused look at a couple of dense pockets of development, settlement in that area, and particularly trying to tie that to feasibility analysis of expansion of existing sewer systems, so that we could potentially go back and look at another Goal 11 exception. So as I'll get to in a minute, we don't necessarily need to be setting up for a Goal 11 exception anymore. But that basic idea of looking at dense pockets, in that zone between Sun River and La Pine, and potential access to existing sewer systems for expansion, I would very much like to suggest we add to our CDD work plan for the coming year that we are adopting soon. So that's one item. You all will recall that during our extensive discussions about the comprehensive plan in 2024, I recommended that we add provisions, approaches like we see in Marion and Benton counties. They've already modeled this for us, where new development proposals in groundwater constrained areas would be required to demonstrate that adding additional groundwater pumping to that area would not impact neighboring properties' wells. So I had floated that idea at the time, and my fellow commissioners refused to add that to the comprehensive plan. But since the comprehensive plan is coming back to us under remand, I think that would be a fine time to reconsider items like that. So wanted to propose that as well as part of our comprehensive plan remand process, that we consider that. Thirdly, last year in the spring, the state legislature did pass Senate Bill 1154, which now essentially provides an opportunity to do sewer in unincorporated areas without seeking a Goal 11 exception if a groundwater area of concern is established. And this special category, groundwater area of concern, the legislature created that, I think, sort of custom made for an area like ours, where we don't have thousands of households' wells contaminated by nitrates yet. But based on the layer of nitrate loaded water sitting a few feet above all of the well intakes in that Sun River to La Pine area, we will eventually. Unfortunately, at the point where we have that problem and where what's called a groundwater management area is established, it's basically too late. So this groundwater area of concern designation is an opportunity for communities to get ahead of the problem, to recognize the slow-moving train and actually do something to try to not be crushed by the slow-moving train in 5, 10, 15 years. So if we proceed with exploring that groundwater area of concern, then we are essentially given the opportunity to do sewer systems in unincorporated areas, and then the second order problem of how do we pay for it, we can tackle that. But if we don't tackle the first order problem of just analyzing whether it's even feasible or not in the first place, we'll never get to the second order problem of how do we pay for it. So that's another thing that we could add to the CDD work plan for the coming year, if we so choose. If we are sincerely interested in groundwater stewardship, then those are a couple of things to consider. And there was a new guest column in the paper this morning that asked, well, what has Phil Chang done about groundwater stewardship in the years that he has sat up on this dais? And I just wanted to remind people of those recent actions in 2024, 2025, and 2026 to set the record straight. That's the end of that item. Okay, if there are no additional other items, we can proceed to executive session.
I don't believe we have an executive session. We're not going to need to have that today.
No executive.
No executive sessions. So unless there are any other items, meeting adjourned. Thank you.